Tonight, the major travel red flag for Canadians at the American border. Detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement without warning.
Within seconds, there were 15 agents surrounding the car.
The first-hand account from one Canadian caught in a surging crackdown. Secrets spilled about Donald Trump and his closest aides.
Sometimes I am a conspiracy theorist, but I only believe in the conspiracy theories that are true.
Revealing new insights based on interviews with the White House Chief of Staff and why she's now accusing the magazine that published them of running a hit piece. And a courageous confrontation. The dramatic dashcam footage of brave bystanders in Australia as the first victim is laid to rest from the anti-Semitic attack on Bondi Beach.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. New signs tonight. The world's longest undefended border is getting unfriendlier. A first-hand account of a Canadian traveler sharing his experiences with CTV News about being detained on his way to the United States. And the data shows a surge in the number of Canadians, including children, held by U.S. authorities. CTV's Heather Wright leads us off.
Thousands of people use the Ambassador Bridge every day. It's North America's busiest border crossing. And it was here that Greg Williams was detained by U.S. Border Patrol as he tried to enter the United States.
And then it was turn the car off, hands on the dash, and within seconds, there were 15 agents surrounding the car.
Williams says he was handcuffed and taken into a small room inside the nearby building. He was photographed and fingerprinted before ever knowing why he was being detained.
I wasn't worrying about being sent to some, Ecuadorian supermax, which is very much white privilege of me, that it's like, I don't have to worry about those things, but that's also like, nobody should.
Turns out there's another Greg Williams with some sort of a record that prompted the detention of this Greg Williams, an Ontario musician.
This happened because I have the same name. And that's crazy.
Williams was released after a couple of hours, but his story highlights the growing number of Canadians being caught up in the immigration crackdown underway south of the border. More than 200 Canadians have spent time in ICE custody at some point since January, compared with 137 detained in 2024. Records show at least 6 children were among those detained. While a handful of Canadians had felony convictions or other criminal records, the vast majority were picked up for visa violations or less serious infractions, which experts say marks a major shift in policy.
For the most part, from what I've seen, we're looking at very minor criminal infractions, but sufficient to attract the radar of U.S. enforcement.
Experts say in the past, Canadians would have been denied entry into the United States or sent back to Canada, but are being detained more frequently. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
U.S. President Donald Trump expanded his travel ban today. The list now also includes Syria, South Sudan, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, as well as travelers with documents issued by the Palestinian Authority. Together with the countries targeted in June, there are now more than 25 countries with U.S. travel bans or restrictions. The White House says it's a matter of security, but critics call it an attempt to demonize people based on where they're from. Israel today blocked a Canadian delegation from entering the occupied West Bank, a group that included 6 members of parliament. The Foreign Affairs Minister posting that Canada has expressed objections regarding the, quote, mistreatment of these Canadians while attempting to cross. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver on what happened and the response.
It was here at the Allenby crossing that the Canadian delegation waited for hours, only to be told by Israeli border agents they could not enter the occupied West Bank.
What we collectively and individually felt was we felt insulted. We felt absolutely rejected for reasons that we have no idea.
The delegation, organized by the nonprofit the Canadian Muslim Vote, intended to spend 3 days talking to refugees, aid groups, along with Muslim, Jewish, and Christian individuals in the West Bank. Instead, 30 people, including 6 MPs, 1 NDP, and 5 Liberals, were turned around, with one MP claiming she was pushed.
Frankly, I think it's insulting I really do.
Liberal Faraz Al-Soud says he expected pushback, but never expected many in the group would be told to sign paperwork deeming them a risk to public safety and security.
They only gave us this very vague terminology of public security or public safety or public order considerations. And when we pried just a slight bit, they pushed back significantly, making it clear that they did not need to provide any reasoning.
The group has no intention on trying to cross again and says this rejection is part of a pattern by the Israeli government.
Dialogue is important, diplomacy is important, and this today was a wrongful decision on the part of Israeli authorities.
Israel's embassy to Canada says the delegation was denied access because the trip's organizers have links to a terrorist entity. The Canadian Muslim Vote calls that characterization disgusting and part of a smear campaign. Omar.
All right, Annie, thank you. One of the closest members of Donald Trump's inner circle, his chief of staff, is pushing back against the magazine that published an article based on a series of interviews she gave and in which she is quoted as saying the president has an alcoholic's personality. CTV's Washington bureau chief Joy Malbin on what else she says and how the president is responding tonight.
The ice baby, we call her the ice baby.
She shuns the spotlight, but Susie Wiles is one of the most powerful voices in Donald Trump's White House. As chief of staff, spilling secrets to Vanity Fair, she described her boss, who doesn't drink, as having an alcoholic's personality. He operates with a view that there's nothing he can't do. And of Trump's Vice President J.D. Vance, Wiles labels him a conspiracy theorist for a decade, whose conversion to MAGA world was sort of political and driven by ambition.
I am a conspiracy theorist, but I only believe in the conspiracy theories that are true.
Of Elon Musk, Trump's billionaire on-again, off-again friend whose Doge government cuts wreaked havoc, Wiles says he's an avowed ketamine user and he sleeps in a sleeping bag in the executive office in the daytime. Wiles admits she underestimated the Epstein scandal, how much it meant to Trump supporters demanding the truth about the late convicted sex offender. Taking a swing at Attorney General Pam Bondi, Wiles says, I think she completely whiffed on appreciating that that was the very targeted group that cared about this. She gave them binders full of nothingness. Wiles admits Trump is in the files and flew on Epstein's plane, but he's not doing anything awful, Wiles says. They were, sort of young single playboys together. And Wiles contradicts the White House claim about the drug boat strikes, suggesting it's also about regime change and forcing Nicolas Maduro out. Trump wants to keep on blowing boats up until Maduro cries uncle.
After giving the magazine 11 interviews, Wiles blasted Vanity Fair, calling it a disingenuous hit piece on her, the president, and his cabinet, but she doesn't deny saying those things. Omar?
Joy, thank you. Prosecutors in Los Angeles have formally charged Nick Reiner in connection with the killing of his parents, director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle.
These charges will be 2 counts of first-degree murder with the special circumstance of multiple murders. He also faces a special allegation that he personally used a dangerous and deadly weapon, that being a knife.
He was arrested in a public area, in the Exposition Park area near the University of Southern California campus. He was approached by the officers and he was arrested without incident.
Reiner was expected to make a court appearance earlier today, but his lawyer said he was not brought in for medical reasons.
He has not yet been medically cleared, so he will be here hopefully tomorrow.
Reiner, who has a long history of battling addiction, was arrested on Monday after his parents were found dead at their LA home on Sunday. Police have released new video of the suspect in the shooting at Brown University.
We believe that he was actually casing out this area to commit the crime. That's a pattern that criminals do, and that's what he was doing.
Authorities have released a slightly clearer image of the man. Investigators have been following hundreds of tips and canvassing homes near the campus for surveillance videos and other clues, but the suspect remains at large. Saturday's attack killed 2 students and wounded 9 others. The first funeral was held in Australia for one of the 15 victims killed in the mass shooting on Bondi Beach. The coffin of Rabbi Eli Schlanger was taken into a synagogue in Sydney, where crowds showed up to pay their respects. CTV's Judy Trin is tracking the investigation and new video from that horrific day.
Before the mass shooting began, dashcam video reveals how a couple tried but failed to disarm one of the Bondi Beach attackers. Boris Gurman and his wife Sophia were among the 15 people killed.
It would appear that there is evidence that this was inspired by a terrorist organisation, by ISIS.
Homemade Islamic State flags were visible in the suspect's car. Inside, authorities also found improvised explosive devices. 50-year-old Sajid Akram was killed by police. His 24-year-old son Naveed was also shot and is in hospital. Police are investigating why the duo traveled to the Philippines just last month.
Specifically, who were they interacting with in Mindanao, which is known to be an ISIS stronghold? In fact, ISIS had tried to carve out an independent state there.
Meanwhile, grief grows at the memorial. The youngest victim is a 10-year-old girl named Matilda.
I was thinking it's bad reception. I don't hear something well. And after I started screaming, I just started screaming. I couldn't understand.
Menorahs continue to be lit across the globe. On Parliament Hill, Hanukkah celebrated as an act of defiance against anti-Semitism. Candles lit by Jews while Christians and Muslims gathered in support.
This is a very difficult time for the Jewish community, and so to be amongst friends and to know that I could count on both allyship in the Christian and the Muslim community has been a source of hope.
A Canadian intelligence assessment done after the Bondi Beach attack found that there are no credible threats to Jewish holiday events in this country. But that same report also found that a violent act by a lone actor is a possibility. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
A major move in Canadian sport to tell you about. Skate Canada drew a line by pulling national and international level events from Alberta over transgender athlete rules. Here's CTV's Rachel Aiello on the decision and the province's pushback.
The national governing body for figure skating in Canada says it considers a range of criteria when selecting host locations. And following a careful assessment of Alberta's Fairness and Safety in Sport Act, Skate Canada has determined that it is unable to host events in the province while maintaining its national standards for safe and inclusive sport. That Alberta Act is a new provincial law restricting transgender athletes ages 12 and up from participating in female amateur sports. In an icy response, Alberta's sport minister said by choosing to forgo events in Alberta's world-class venues, Skate Canada is denying female athletes opportunities to compete on a safe and level playing field. The boycott will not stop Alberta figure skaters from participating in Skate Canada programming and competitions, and there aren't any upcoming national or international events scheduled in the province. Still, critics of Alberta's policy say the decision sends a clear message.
This is what organizations have warned about, and really this is an incredible hit to Alberta's economy. Tourism and sport is really important in Alberta. I think they may just be the first of many.
What's happening here is the sporting bodies like Skate Canada are protecting their athletes. They're dealing with facts and evidence rather than political ideology.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is now calling on Skate Canada to apologize and adjust its policy. But Skate Canada says it'll monitor legislative developments and reassess if circumstances evolve. Omar?
All right, Rachel, thank you. Ontario hospitals are seeing a serious surge of flu cases this month. Influenza cases have shot up significantly for the week of December 12th. The daily number of confirmed patients with the flu up by 150%. Hospitalizations climbed by 84%, while new ICU admissions increased by 127%. The federal government is announcing new regulations to cut methane emissions from the oil and gas sector.
These new enhanced oil and gas regulations are designed to significantly cut methane emissions by over 304 megatons from 2028 to 2040.
The Environment Minister says new landfill regulations will also cut 100 megatons of emissions by 2040. The government also announced nearly $16 million in investment for 9 methane detection and measurement projects. across Canada. A major shakeup in the mining industry after Ottawa approved a merger between Canadian company Teck Resources and Britain's Anglo America. It will be the largest company in BC's history. Other approvals are still needed, but this green light was a big one. And as CTV's Abigail Beeman tells us, environmental groups will be watching closely.
What Anglo Teck was offering was not enough.
A sharp turn from last month, the industry minister has approved the merger between Anglo-American and Vancouver-based Teck Resources Limited under the Canada Investment Act. In a statement, Jolie details why she now believes the merger is of net benefit. The companies agreed to invest at least $4.5 billion in 5 years and at least $10 billion in Canada within 15 years. The headquarters will be in Canada, as will 2/3 of senior executives. And the 4,000 current Canadian jobs will be secured, plus 2,900 new jobs through the Highland Valley Copper Mine Life Extension Project. BC's premier recently visited that project, now calling the merger great news for BC, with Anglo Teck the largest company in the province's history.
Our salmon watersheds are facing mine pollutions.
Environmental advocates like Northern Confluence will be watching carefully, concerned about water pollution and calling for better regulation.
There's also a bunch of liabilities that come with this takeover, and we really need to make sure that British Columbia holds to making sure that the polluter pays.
This merger will establish Vancouver as the headquarters of one of the world's largest critical mineral producers.
While BC's Mining Association lauds the move.
The name's going to change, but you're going to have a stronger Canadian-based, Vancouver-based global miner with a Canadian flag on it operating here in our country and around the world.
A cultural loss. It may be headquartered in Vancouver, but it's a global mining company now, even more than Teck was before.
Teck Resources was one of the last big Canadian mining companies. It declined interviews today. Omar?
All right, Abigail, thank you. Coming up.
We're not out of the woods yet.
What's next for storm-battered parts of BC? Many flooded residents are still out of their homes in BC after relentless rain, and a windstorm is being blamed for at least one death. Here's CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson.
Rivers like this one in West Vancouver are being watched closely ahead of another round of heavy rain and high wind. A rain warning is calling for up to 70 millimeters to fall in the region by tomorrow morning.
Our engineers have really been tracking kind of hour by hour how the storm is unfolding, and our crews are all out in the field so that we can quickly respond if things do arise.
In the Fraser Valley, winds are being blamed for the tragic death of a mother of two. Police say the 28-year-old was hit by a falling tree yesterday in a Chilliwack park. Weakened trees are also hitting power lines. Thousands woke up today in the dark.
What exacerbates any wind event we have is the saturated ground. I mean, it's been raining. We've been drenched for the past number of days with more rain expected. The ground's a lot softer, a lot easier for trees to essentially walk out of the ground when the wind hits.
High winds are expected in Metro Vancouver and on Vancouver Island, where a wind warning is in effect. Gusts there could hit 100 kilometers per hour. This all comes as dozens of people in Abbotsford remain out of their homes, an evacuation order still in effect after the brutal flooding late last week that left farms and neighborhoods underwater.
We're not out of the woods yet from a flooding point of view, but what we are is sort of reducing the risk ever so slightly and ever so slowly.
It has been a wild weather week on BC's south coast, where people will now hope to ride out tonight's blast without major damage, then take advantage of a break to continue the cleanup. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, West Vancouver.
Still ahead. How FIFA is responding to fan outrage over World Cup ticket prices. Florida's governor has dropped the gloves after these comments made by Ontario Premier Doug Ford yesterday on travel during the trade war.
It's going to be the first time I'm not going to Florida, but I talked to so many people. Don't let this guy, Trump,
determine and ruin your life and everything. That's my personal choice. They're hurting down there right now. They're hurting on all fronts. They're hurting on their economy.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis fired back on X, saying, actually, we continue to break tourism records and win Stanley Cups. Outrage over the cost of tickets for the upcoming World Cup prompted FIFA to release discounted tickets today to participating countries and their fans. Canada Soccer says its tickets will cost $80 each and will go to the Canadian supporters group, the Voyageurs.
They feature our team colors, so Tempo Bordeaux and Borealis Blue, really icy, speaks to, Canada in the north.
And Canada's first WNBA team, the Toronto Tempo, has revealed 2 new jerseys before their inaugural season tips off in May. The uniforms both feature the team's signature 6-speed lines, representing Toronto's 6 boroughs. Still ahead, how a master glassblower is rekindling a lost art, just in time for the holidays. As Canadians deck their halls, one man in St. John is busy working overtime. His delicate glass ornaments are in high demand, and one popular design may surprise you. Here's CTV's Sarah Plowman.
Ornaments can hold meaning, spark memories or thoughts of loved ones. Behind each one made here is Curtis Dion, a master glass blower.
It's kind of a lost art. There's very few people doing it in Canada.
The holidays bring in a lot of orders. He sometimes crafts more than 100 ornaments a day.
We do the hummingbird, the dragonfly, the bumblebee. We do a mushroom. We do a pickle.
Each demands precision and practice. Like dipping a spoon into a pot of honey, Dion dips a blowpipe into a furnace of molten glass, twirls it, and rolls it in color.
And then we're going to hold it upwards and compress a little bit of air into the pipe so that a bubble starts to emerge.
Like a dance, Dion and his assistant move quickly. Owen Steele has perfected the last touch, the hook.
And while I'm doing it, I'm also sort of in that meditative, almost Zen state.
In high demand this year is the pickle.
I'm giving it as a gift.
That comes with a game of hide and seek.
Whoever hides the pickle has a special gift, and whoever finds the pickle receives the gift.
Heather Rogers is after a snowflake.
I just feel like they're unique and they're handcrafted.
Each ornament is a chance to share a piece of his passion and connect to the community.
I think the ornaments that people put on their trees become part of like a lasting memory, part of their tradition, and it gives us the opportunity to become a bit of a household name.
Adding his touch to a family's tradition. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, St. John.
Fascinating to watch that craft. That's a snapshot of this Tuesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night and see you tomorrow.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.